The More You Know with James Rickey, presented by AWS.
Hi, my name is James Rickey. Today on The More You Know, I'm going to teach you how to install a 24-inch grade ring for a 24-inch ultra-rib manhole. For today's project, here are a list of tools you need that are required to complete the job. First tool would be a set of latex gloves. You will also need a 2-part epoxy with a mixing tube. You will also need a grinder, some sandpaper, some cleaning agent with water and soap, a shop rag, and a 2-part epoxy gun. 2 types of epoxy guns. You have a manual option as well as a battery option, which we also supply at AWS. So today we're going to start with the first step is to clean the ultra-rib, as well as the grade ring. As we're going to clean, we're going to wipe both edges of the grade ring to make sure it's clean and there's no debris, as well as cleaning the inside of the 24-inch ultra manhole, as well as the outside lip. The next step we're going to be doing here is you're going to take some sandpaper and we're going to rough up the edges on both sides of the grade ring. And the reason why we want to rough up the edges of the grade ring is so that the 2-part epoxy that we will be applying later will have it so that the 2-part will bite better into the grade ring as well as the ultra rib, giving it a better seal and a better joint connection. After we're all done sanding, you should have both edges roughed up all the way around on both sides. After that's done, your next step is to rough up the inside of your 24-inch ultra rib. Do the same thing as you would for the grade ring. You can use a grinder for the ultra rib. It is more durable and less chance of taking too much material away. I like to prefer the sandpaper grinding disc because it's perfect grinding disc to do the proper application for bonding the 2-part epoxy to the grade ring. I do not recommend using these grinding discs. It is too rough on the ultra rib and as well as the grade ring. So to touch it up, you just simply buff up your edges on both sides of the manhole that you're going to be joining together. After you've done that, you would want to do one more little wipe down after you've done your sanding and grinding, just to make sure that it's nice and clean and ready to be put together. You want to do the same thing to your ultra rib, and there we go. Next step we're going to do is we're going to dry fit the grade ring to the manhole to be ready to be 2-part epoxy. The things to remember with the 2-part epoxy, 2 most important things is to make sure you double check the expiry date on the tube of the epoxy itself. If it's past the expiry date, the tube is no good. The second most important thing is how you store the 2-part epoxy. You want to keep it in a relatively cool area. If it's in a warm area or anything past room temperature, it can cause to affect the adhesive itself. So here are our next step. We're going to now apply the 2-part epoxy. You remove the cap from the 2-part gun, and then you'll take your 2-part mixing tube. You're going to apply this to the 2-part epoxy. Now you have 2 options you could use. You could use the battery operated 2-part epoxy gun, which makes it easier and faster. They have 2 settings in here: the speed of you want the 2-part to come out, as well as the dose amount you want to come out. Another option you could use is the manual 2-part epoxy gun, where you can apply it as needed. Today we're going to use the battery operated 2-part epoxy gun. So when I go to apply the 2-part epoxy, it's important that we want to put a nice at least 1/2-inch bead on the top lip of the grade ring, not on the bottom lip. You want to have a nice bead all the way on the top, and the purpose of that, so when we go to flip the grade ring over, it allows the 2-part to roll in and give it the whole glue of the 2-part to give all the gluing surface. So now, as I like to do it here, now that we have our two-part on there, we will lift it up from the lip here so you don't touch the two-part. We're gonna flip it over, and we're gonna set it in, and you're just gonna push it all the way around so you can see the two-part push out. And you wanna make sure it's all the way down. Then again, this time we won't be able to rotate the grade ring, so you're gonna have to do it all the way around. Now it's important to note that for every grade ring that you use, it should require a full tube of two-part epoxy. Not half, not a quarter, it should be the entire tube. The reason for that is that it gives it so you know you have a proper and full bonding for this grade ring to be able to bond to the manhole itself. Okay, so the next step, we are going to join the two manholes together. We have our two-part epoxy applied. So to do this job, we probably recommend you have a helper to be able to put this manhole on. So when doing this, once I have it set, I like to give it just maybe a little bit of a quarter turn, just to kind of so it all mixes in and blends in. After that, you would want to apply some latex gloves. With the two-part epoxy, you do not want to get this on your skin or your clothes or even in your hair. It is pretty hard to get out. So I recommend you wear a pair of latex gloves. And so you can see here that we got a good amount of two-part epoxy. If you happen to find that there's a bare spot, you can still see the lip of the grade ring. For the leftover part of the two-part that you have left, you will apply it to the bare spots or the places that have the less amount of two-part epoxy. That way you've used up your entire tube of two-part epoxy. After you've done that, this is where the latex gloves come in. You want to be able to come in, use your two fingers, and you want to get them in there so that you get a nice, smooth seal on the outside as well. You want to do that all the way around. So you should not see any spots where there is no two-part. If there is, take the excess two parts that are on your fingers and apply it to the spots that don't have as much two-part. And therefore, that's it. That's how you install your two-part, your manhole, your 24-inch grade ring, and the 24-inch manhole. Oh, hi there. I'm James Rickey. Thank you for watching The More You Know. Be sure to check out more of our instructional videos.